Guys, Ruby is freaking amazing. I got all of her advancements this morning along with some of her matrices, and I'll be giving a full review in this video. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a value focused gacha whale, and my goal is to help you get the most out of your resources. Alright, let's jump into it. In my Cobalt B video, I recommended waiting to see how the next banner turns out before deciding who to pull for. So is Ruby a better buy? And the answer is definitely yes. She's hands down better than Cobalt B as an overall character, and she's also going to be crucial to any fire team you make for at least 6 months. I'll get into her advancements and matrices in a bit, but first I want to briefly go over her skill, because basically every upgrade she gets is based off of it. Her skill fires out a red cube. It actually fires out 5, but one of them is special, and the special red cube will bounce between the enemy and you, and it lasts for about 15 seconds. I made the mistake of assuming that it'll always home in on my character model. See, it's bouncing between me, but if I move, the cube's going off off into the distance where it's basically useless to me. And you want to keep bouncing the cube because every time that it hits an enemy, it's going to do damage to them and imply what's called an emblazon mark. And this is important for advancements as well. And what this mark does is that it increases the damage that you do to that enemy. So basically, if you lose control of the cube, you're going to be losing out on a significant chunk of your damage. If there are multiple enemies, the cube can bounce between them too. Let's see if it'll work here. Yeah, see, it'll bounce to them. But it's kind of unpredictable at times. So if it kills an enemy, sometimes it just lingers on top of them. So it's kind of hard to manage. Anyways, over the course of the skill, you'll build up charges when you deal damage, which leads to you getting a 10% flame attack buff. And that buff is called Ultimate Heat. On top of all that, her skill and discharge both have the ability to deal burst damage based on any fire-related damage over a time effects that you've already applied. And this is a significant chunk of her burst damage, and that's also why she pairs well with Cobalt B if you've invested in her, because Cobalt B applies 2 different kinds of burns, and she does it fairly easily. Alright, let's talk about advancements. Her first one boosts her normal attack string damage to enemies marked by emblazon. Remember, emblazon is the mark that the bouncing cube gives to enemies when it hits them. You can see here that normally that bonus is 30%, and this advancement moves it up to 80%. The advancement also reduces her skill cooldown by 20%, which is 6 seconds. This is an incredibly good upgrade, and I'm surprised that it's available at only 1 star. If you're a free-to-play or a low spender, you should definitely aim to get this. Her third advancement is pretty meh. It increases the burn multiplier and gives you a little extra damage, but it's definitely not worth getting if you're a low spender. You're going to be better off using those pulls for another character or matrices. Her fifth advancement is a massive power spike. It basically makes it so you charge really freaking fast with your normal attack string. Normally, if you just sit in front of an enemy and spam your attacks, it'll take you about 25 seconds to fully charge Ruby's weapon. With the fifth advancement, that time is reduced to 9 seconds. 9 seconds. Guys, Claudia has the highest charge stat in the game, and she can only charge to full in like 10 seconds if I remember correctly. And to do that fast, you have to use dangerous melee range aerial strings, and usually it doesn't work out because you get hit. And as if that wasn't enough, the fifth advancement can also increase your shatter. What I found was that with this advancement, I could bring Ruby with Cobalt B and shatter shields just fine. That means sometimes you can use Tsubasa or Claudia in your third slot instead of King or Huma. Obviously, sometimes you're going to want as much shatter as you can get, so you can't discount shatter characters altogether, but sometimes you can get by with not having a dedicated shatterer. This advancement is so stupidly good that this is the first time I'm going to say that you could stop at 5 stars and skip the 6th star if you really wanted to. Her 6th star is basically a repeat of the first skill in that it decreases your skill cooldown and increases your damage. There's no denying that on paper this advancement looks good, but I really didn't feel like it was that impactful in practical terms. So the skill cooldown reduction is 8 seconds and then brings it down to 16 seconds. But I didn't really have trouble with the cooldown when it was at 24 seconds because I'm busy doing stuff with my other weapons. You charge so ridiculously fast because of the 5th advancement that you're going to be swapping an absolute godly amount of times if you're using it to charge a lot, which you should be. I was also not that impressed by the damage increase or the effect that made heat acquisition easier to get. If you don't remember, heat acquisition was the 10% flame attack buff that you can get from her skill. So to sum up her advancements, if you care about building a fire team, you want to get at least 1 copy of her and push her to 1 star if you can. If you're going to invest heavily into her, then 5 or 6 stars is what you should aim for. Alright, let's talk about the matrices. I got the 2-piece set, and I will get the 4-piece set later once the shop starts working again for me. The reason I want it is because of the effect at the end. At 6 stacks, grants a shield that can block damage 1 time. Now with Ruby, you're going to be standing in one place, mashing your attack button most of the time. And when you're doing that, you're basically a sitting duck, and you're going to take damage from time to time. This will make her playstyle a lot safer, and that's mostly the reason I want it. I don't really care so much about the damage increase, although it will be pretty good if you get the 4 set. I don't think just getting the 2 set is worth it, but I mean, if you're a whale, you do you. Alright, that's about all I had to say about Ruby for now. If you had anything else to add, let me know, and please sub if you like this content. Later.